Here's what you can look forward to on this episode of The Nice Guys on Business.
And I bought up as much property as I could in this little area in southern Arizona, and I made $90,000 in 6 months on just one auction. So I go to my wife, I'm like, honey, I hate my job. I want to quit and I want to invest in land full time. And she's like, absolutely not. Right. So I said, fine. So I did it part time for 18 months. And once the land investing income exceeded my investment banking income, I quit, and I've been doing it full time ever since. So I'm now happily unemployable.
What's in the box? Oh, it's just a Nice Guys on Business podcast. So, Joy, have you ever been to a Turkish prison? Do you like gladiator movies? The Nice Guys want to know. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Hey, Funkin' fans, welcome back. Welcome back. Strickland Bonner on this side, Doug Sandler on the other side. Coming up in the interview today, Mark Podolsky.
He is a land geek. Hey, Strick, could you imagine just buying raw land? Like buying land that does no improvements, no house, no anything. Just buying land, holding on to it, and turning it around and selling it at a profit.
Interesting thought. I mean, real estate is definitely the best investment you can make.
I know. It's a great investment. I don't get excited about the idea of raw land, but I love what Mark has done. He's made an entire business out of turning raw land into profit. And although it's not something that I am passionate about, it is something that I can see where he finds his drive from. It's more about the passiveness of the income than it is about the product and the service that he is buying and selling. So pretty cool. Mark Podolsky is on the show today. He is a guru when it comes to passive income. He's got a really very cool show. He brings a lot of experts on his podcast. It's called The Art of Passive Income. And he does spend some time on the show talking about raw land, but he also just talks about the idea of what would you do if you had this ultimate freedom of just passive income. Imagine having just income coming in every month and you didn't have to, go to an office or work in a traditional job in order to make that money.
I love the idea of passive income. I think doing something once like, writing a book or, buying land and then being able to make money regularly from it, without doing much of anything from there is a great plan. But, I just know nothing whatsoever about land ownership. So I really got to listen to this interview.
Yeah, listen to the interview. Although we don't get specifically into like how to do it and all of the exact details, he does share his story, and his story is very interesting about how he actually just took the dive. He just said, "Hey, I'm just going to do this," and he invested some money, and it's turned out to be a good thing. And he's got this entire system. But we don't really go into the details of the system today. It's just about the things that the system can do for you. So he does chat about his story. I love to hear it. And then I was actually, before he came on our show, I was a guest on his podcast. He and his co-host, just fun guys. I mean, just interesting techniques that they have, interesting way to get their message out. I love it.
Cool. So if you don't know yet, please go to patreon.com/nice guys and donate as little as $1 a month so we can earn our passive income. Although it's not really passive income because we do a lot for it. It's not like we don't do anything. We do a lot for it.
No, we pretty much don't do anything. I mean,
sure, outside of 5 episodes of a podcast every goddamn week. Sure, that's nothing whatsoever.
Yeah, that's our version of passive income is that 5 episodes.
I'm sorry, what time is it right now that we're recording this, Doug?
Oh my gosh, it's been way too long.
10:15 on a Sunday night?
Yeah.
And I haven't even edited tomorrow's episode yet because we just recorded the intro for it.
All right, well, this is what we should probably do. Let's get to the interview with Mark Podolsky, and then we will let you have all the free time that you need
to build our passive income, which we have to do nothing for at 10:30 at night on a Sunday night.
Very, very true. All right, so we are proud to be affiliated with the C-Suite Radio Network and the Greatness Podcast Network. This is our interview here on The Nice Guys on Business with Mark Podolsky. Let's do it. His company is titled The Land Geek, but I just see him as, or them as, they're just geeks, period. He's got a fun podcast called The Art of Passive Income. It's all relative. If you think passive income can be fun, and who doesn't like to make money while they're sleeping, you've come to the right place on this Nice Guys episode, because Mark Podolsky, see, I've already fucked your name up. See, it's just that simple. Can I just say your name can I just call you Marky Mark in the Fun Bunch?
You can, absolutely.
Mark Podolsky, welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Doug Sandler, you're such a nice guy.
I came on your show and I felt like I was probably really rude to you and your co-host, and I felt like I owed it to you to come back on my show and completely rip me. So if you are more than welcome to even rip the Nice Guys. It is fine. It's
funny because after that podcast, I called my mom crying, and I got out and I was in like the fetal position for like a few hours and got on an antidepressant. But I've come out of it, and I feel a lot better now after that podcasts.
Somehow I think that a guy that runs a podcast and a business that is all about passive income, you've probably had your share of no's in your life. How does that feel? I mean, you get many more no's than you do yeses, but at some point in your life, you had to turn that corner and actually get 1% more yeses and make you rich. So how does that feel?
No, I mean, it feels great. And all kidding aside, I thought our podcast was great. And one of the takeaways that we had from your interview was something that we applied, was when you said, hey, when you're talking to somebody and they're like, just going through the script, and you say, hey, can you put the script away for just 10 seconds and speak to me like a human being? We actually did that like the next day, and it worked beautifully. So, all kidding aside, there was a ton of value from that podcast that you delivered. So I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark. And I really do think it's all about, sometimes you just have to disarm. It's the shock and awe of just saying to somebody, can you just be a human being for a fucking minute? Just please, can you just not be just such a jerk as you're trying to sell me something, or just step away from that role that you play as sales guy or whatever it is. I've had some guests come on my show, and I feel like, and I'm sure you've done the same thing, where they come on your show and you're like, holy shit, dude, just put down your script for a second, stop selling, just have a conversation with me.
No, I mean, and you see it everywhere now, where if someone's truly authentic, they're almost like a purple cow, where they're able to put the script away, they're able to put their stuff away and speak to you like a human being, a natural themselves, and it comes through. And you feel like that's someone I can trust. Yeah. Right? And I think it's really hard these days because the fear is, hey, people are going to judge me, or, the fear is I'm not good enough. And everyone feels that way, but you don't realize it. Like there's still that high school mentality where, we're all weird, right?
Yeah.
We're all fucked up. So you might as well embrace it and just be yourself, because there's no one else like you. So just take you.
And damn it, I'm good. I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I am good enough. I feel like I'm good enough. We've never actually had a passive income expert on the show. And although that is really the nature of your podcast, The Art of Passive Income, you go so much further than that. I mean, you really do talk about the relationships that you build on the show, and you talk about the ways in which your best practices for developing good business opportunities and market your products and stuff. But talk about the tool that really some of the tools that you use in order to promote this art of passive income on your show.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, at the end of the day, we're in the freedom business, right?
Yep.
And how you get to having more passive income than your fixed expenses, I really don't care how you do it. Now, I tend to think that my way of doing it involves the least amount of headaches, the least amount of risk, and the least amount of capital up front to do. And basically the model is very simple, where we buy raw land that's undeveloped, 20, 30 cents on the dollar. We then sell that land at a return on investment of typically 300 to 1,000%. But the way that we do it is on a land contract and owner financing. So for example, Doug, you live in the DC area, but let's say you own a piece of property in Texas. And next thing I know, I go on the tax roll and I say, oh, Doug Sandler owes $200 in back taxes. You're advertising to me, you no longer value that property.
Right.
So I send you an offer for that property. And the way I send that offer is, if I look at the comps, the comparable sales, and let's say the comparable sales for that 5-acre parcel or $10,000. Very low. I'll divide by 4, and that gets me to 300%. That gets me to that Warren Buffett margin of safety. Mm-hmm. So, you'll take the $2,500 because you're going to lose the property anyways because you're not paying your back taxes. So 3 to 5% of those people actually accept that offer. We then do our due diligence, we close on it, and then we sell it on a very easy term, like a car payment. So you might get $2,500 down, $449 a month at 9.9% interest. And now we've got this recurring passive income coming without renters, without rehabs, without renovations, and without rodents.
Okay, so you went through that process, and it does seem really simple. I mean, it really does seem simple, and there was no. I've had, and this episode probably aired before this other one that I'm about to share with you. But this guy came on and completely puked his product, and it was just like, dude, just stop selling for a second. Make it make sense to me so that I can make it make sense to my community. Because nice guy community, if you're like me, you're in 3rd grade. None of us understand what the hell is going on. So I get it, but it seems like it's almost too simple. So where is the thing that holds everybody back? Where is that part, that stumbling block where people just say, nah, Mark, it just doesn't sound good. So help me with that.
Yeah, I think the biggest stumbling block is getting that list. That's going to be your first sort of, brick wall. It is a simple model, but it's just like anything else. It ain't easy, right?
Right.
And so, to get that list from the county treasurer or the county assessor, they'll call you back and say, oh, we don't have that list, or we can't give you that list. So now you have to be persistent enough to find the list. And that might be going to a local title company. That might be contacting somebody in planning and zoning in the county, or the IT department in planning and zoning. It's going that extra effort and knowing that, if Mark Podolsky can do it, hell, I can do it. This guy's no genius, right? So having persistence and sort of going through it, I think, is that first brick wall. The second brick wall is doing your due diligence, right? Raw land, even though it's very simple, you've got to make sure that there's ingress and egress or legal access to the property. You got to make sure there's something compelling about the property. You have to step into the shoes of your potential buyer. What is it about this property that someone's going to buy, right?
So there's got to be like a system that's in place that has, so that you can understand all the things. I wouldn't have no idea that ingress and egress were an important part about buying raw land. I don't even know really. For me, it's like I keep thinking, what's the sex appeal to this? What's exciting about this? And I think the end result, the cum shot, that's the most exciting part of this, right? I mean, is any of it exciting as you're building this process?
No, none of it's exciting. I mean, honestly, I have no passion for raw land, but what I do have passion about is the model itself, because you don't go on HGTV or the DIY network and see Flip This Land. It's just not sexy, right?
Right, exactly my point, right.
Right. But what is sexy is that, I was able to raise my children, right? I'm able to work 3 days a week. I have very little stress because I have this passive income stream coming in every single month. It's above my fixed expenses. I can travel the world and I can run this business. Hey, it's 90% automated with software. So it's, from the standpoint of stress and time and an effective hourly rate, that part is really sexy.
And
right?
I just want to explain this to the nice guy community because, for our listeners to the show that may see the late night infomercials about turning real estate into a boom and, some of the scammy things that are out there in the world, through different systems that are there. I haven't taken a microscopic look at the stuff that Mark is doing, but I can tell you, just in getting to know him over the last few months, in listening to his podcast, in hearing the people that are on the show with him, in seeing, you kind of get a good vibe from somebody when they have good relationships with you. You do not come across as that guy. And so for me, it's less about the products or the system and more about the can I trust a guy like Mark? And I feel like, shit, I really could. You know, if that was what you were, if you were seeking to find some level of opportunity, and if raw real estate was the way that you wanted to do it in the non-sex appeal way, but looking for that, you know, you said at the beginning of the show, you know, this is really all about freedom. It seems like it would be kind of a cool thing to do.
No, it's great. You know, it's so funny though, because you're so right. Like, you watch those real estate infomercials and you're like, oh gosh. Right. And really it's a lot of hype. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and no one tells you, you know, it's like buying a lottery ticket, right?
Right.
What's nice about our model is that we're so transparent about it. The good, the bad, the ugly.
That's what it was as I was listening to the show. It just seemed like you and the guys, you have one co-host, right? But you bring on other guests.
Yeah, Scott Todd.
Okay, so Scott Todd, he's a crack up too. So between Scott Todd and Mark, you have like the yin and yang of podcasting, and then they bring on these guests that have like uber knowledge about all of this shit. And Mark is just like the regular guy. You're the ringleader of the regular guys. Right, and it's just so fun to listen to these guys that come on the show, and they have so much knowledge. And it's almost like you probably could answer every question that they're answering it, but it's the way in which you answer the question that people are going to fall in love with. Does that make sense?
I think so. I mean, you know, I'm really sober right now, so
which is so rare.
It's so rare.
So talk a little bit more, not about the system, but just about you know, how you'd even discovered that this is the vehicle that you were going to use to make life happen.
Yeah. So 2000, I'm working as an investment banker in mergers and acquisitions with private equity groups. So you know, so sexy, right? So I'm doing like, you know, I mean, it's not middle market stuff, like 5 to 500 million in enterprise value. So like, not even my parents are proud of me at this point. And I've got
yes, they were.
No, they really were. They're like, come on, like do something with your life, you know? So I got a 45 minutes to commute and work, you know, working back. I've got to, you know, micromanage. I'm working long hours. It's high stress, no control, and I'm miserable. And I wouldn't get the Sunday blues anticipating Monday coming around. I'd get the Friday blues anticipating the weekend going by really fast and having to be at work on Monday. So my firm hires this guy, and he tells me that he's going to these tax deed auctions in the middle of fucking nowhere, and he's buying up raw land, and he's paying, you know, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, and he's flipping them online, and he's making 300% returns on investment. Well, Doug, I look at companies all day long, and a great company has 15% EBITDA margins. I was
going to say 10 to 15%, right?
Great company. That's free cash flow, right? And then 10% is average. I'm looking at companies all day long, less than 10%. So I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm from the Show Me State. I don't believe him. So, you know, sure enough, I go to like the middle of nowhere, New Mexico with him. I've got like $3,000 saved up for car repairs. I buy up 10 half-acre lots at an average price of $300. I do exactly what he says to do. Next week, I put them up online. They all sell at an average price of over $1,200. So I'm like, son of a gun, it worked. So
hold on. So let's not go through so fast through that. So how hard was it to part with that $3,000? Because I'm just thinking about if it was me, and you know, $3,000, it's a lot of money, but it would not kill me. But okay, so we take our $3,000 and we put it into this raw land, and somehow does this guy, he's just holding you by the hand and just saying, just give me your $3,000 and trust me? Or does he actually say, oh no, you got to put it in the system and this is how you got to do it? I mean, like, tell me that part.
No, I mean, he had no system. He just said he was doing this. And so I just went with him with my money. And I said to my wife, I'm like, honey, I'm gonna buy raw land and I'm gonna just flip it online.
Like, you fucking are not going to do that with my $3,000.
So she goes, well, what happens when you can't sell it? I said, well, worst case is I can't sell it and we own an asset. We own raw land. Okay. And I'm like, that's the worst case. I'm like, you know, I'll probably be able to get my money out. I'm like, you know, this isn't real money here. This is, you know, $300 a parcel or something ridiculous.
Right.
And she's like, all right, fine, but just don't screw it up. So So I make 300%. I take all that money. I go to another tax deed auction.
You went way too fast for me, Mark. Hold on a second.
Okay.
I got to understand. So you bought your 10 lots at $300 a piece. So you spent $3,000. And so now is there a closing? Is it just you hand me $3,000 and you buy it? Is it a private owner? Is it, just help me with that part.
Oh, okay. So what I did was, to buy it, you have to go in with cash. And you buy it from the treasurer at the tax deed auction.
Oh, I got you.
And then they give you a deed. So now you own that property. And then I went on eBay at that time, this is 2000, and auctioned it off. And it sold. And it was nuts.
And so you took your $3,000, and you turned it into what?
Into $12,000.
You took your $3,000 and turned it into $12,000. How long did that take you to do?
About a week and a half.
Is that fairly common, or is that your results may vary?
Well, at that time, eBay was very hot. Real estate was just catching on.
Yeah.
So at that time, like today, I hate eBay. We sell via our buyers list and Craigslist and Facebook, but at that time, eBay was the place to go. And so, I was very spoiled. I could sell property in 10 days on a 10-day auction. So the next auction, I took all that 12,000 and I bought up as much property as I could in this little area in southern Arizona, and I made $90,000 in 6 months on just one auction. So I go to my wife, I'm like, honey, I hate my job. I want to quit and I want to invest in land full time. And she's like, absolutely not. Right.
Oh, Jesus.
So I said, fine. So I did it part time for 18 months, and once the land investing income exceeded my investment banking income, I quit, and I've been doing it full time ever since. So I'm now happily unemployable.
That's what I always say. I'm gainfully unemployable.
I'm gainfully unemployable.
say the same thing. So how long have you been doing this on your own?
Since 2001. Full time.
And you love it?
Oh my gosh. It's 90% automated. I work 2 hours. I killed Tim Ferriss. I work 2 hours a week. In the business.
It's a 2-hour work week. The 2-hour work week. You've just beaten them by 100%.
It's the best time ever to be in business. It doesn't matter what business you're in. Like between the automation,
right.
It's unbelievable. What used to take me 20 minutes in paperwork now takes 2 seconds.
All right. So share this with me. If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
Ooh. Boy,
there's so many ways to make passive to make passive income happen for you. Your vehicle is real estate. Are there other vehicles now? And I'm assuming, based upon the success that you've had, you're probably not a vertical market kind of guy. I'm assuming that you've at least been presented with diversification to a certain degree on other things, investments or other business opportunities. What have you seen that you like?
I'm kind of like Warren Buffett in that sense, where if I can't get another return on investment in time like I can in raw land, I don't buy stocks. I don't buy bonds. I literally put all my money back into land, and just keep doing that.
So what's your advice? Anybody that's listening to the show right now, and again, part of the premise of coming on the show, Nice Guy Community, so you're aware, and Mark, you please confirm this. We did not say, okay, Mark, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you all about real estate. You're going to tell me everything that you know, and then we're going to try to sell our Nice Guy Community on this system, because I'm assuming you have a system that you've put together. I'm just so fucking curious. Like, how does it? You've just told me how it works. It seems like it's a no-brainer. The risk is that maybe you lose your money.
Yeah, the risk is you own an asset, and you can't sell it.
But do you do this a little bit at a time? What's your advice to people that are just starting out on this and using this potentially as a side hustle?
I think it's the ultimate side hustle. I think number one, you've got to get educated. Now, I'm not saying you got to buy like my crap on the landgeek.com, right? Which isn't crap, but it's, you don't have to buy a system. So let's say, for example, you've got more time than money. I have so much free information that you could do it on your own. Between the podcast, between the YouTube channel, there's a guy out there, Seth Williams, retipster.com. There's tons and tons of free information. But I think the first thing you need to do is county research. Because, Doug, nobody wakes up and thinks to themselves, boy, I'd love to buy some raw land in Minnesota, right? But, unless you live in Minnesota, but, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, Nevada, Texas, Florida, California, Washington, Oregon, right? There's millions of acres available. And so the market is massive and there's no one doing it. So I really think that the first thing you should do is figure out a county that you would want to go into, and then get that list, and then, look at the comps, divide by 4, right? That gets you your 300% margin of safety, and send out actual offers. So I don't send it, hey, I'm interested in buying your land, Doug. I'm not in the appraisal business. Like, I really value my time. It's the only non-renewable resource, right? So anything I can do to save time, I'll do. Like, it's nuts. I won't even park anymore. I have to valet park everywhere. Like, anything I can do to save time, because I'm obsessed with that. That's a whole other thing. Anyways, so basically, so you send out your offers. You gotta, if your response rate is under 3%, you offered too low. If your response rate is over 5%, you've offered too much. Okay, so now you've got that sweet spot, and you should be able to close 1% of those transactions. And when I say close, it means when you do your due diligence, right, and you go through a checklist, which you'll create for yourself, like, there can't be any breaks in the title, there can't be liens or encumbrances, all this stuff, right? That you just kind of common sense. And then when you close that transaction, then you have to market it. And the best place to market it, guess where that is, Doug?
Oh, I don't know.
Podcast? No, the neighbor. Oh yeah, that would make sense. Go to the neighbor and say, hey, before I go to the open market here, protect your land, protect your view. Buy it from me first before I go to the open market. And, that fear of missing out, they typically will buy it. Or if they don't buy it, maybe they'll sell you even a bigger parcel. And then if the neighbor's passed, then you go to your buyer's list. These are people that have opted into some kind of white paper you created. I've got like how to avoid the 3 fatal land buying mistakes. So I know that they're interested in land. We email them a deal of the week. So we're selling at least one property a week just from the buyer's list. And then you go to these little websites called Craigslist, 10th most trafficked website in the U.S. Even smaller one called Facebook. You go to buy-sell groups. And if you can't sell that property in 30 days, you come to me and you wholesale it out to me. You mark it up 100% and I'll buy it from you. So you won't ever get stuck with a piece of raw land.
It sounds so compelling. It really does. Why do people not do this?
It's work. Just like anything else, it's work.
Well, I think you're taking a guy that is if I am your prospect, let's say, you're taking a guy that's a professional speaker, an author, a blogger, podcaster, director of C-suite radio network. I can list my resume. Nowhere on that fucking resume does it say anything like, I want to go to a title company to ask them for help in researching it. It's like, I don't fucking want to do that. It's like, I get it. I totally get it. And then there's something that says, but it's not really your thing, Doug.
And you shouldn't, and if it's not your thing, you shouldn't do it. Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Right. So there is someone that there is a segment of the population, just like many people that are out there, that are just looking for something, looking for a figure, trying to determine what their way to passive income is. And although my vehicle may not be a fast vehicle, and although it may not have a return of investment of 300% or even 30%, it's like, oh gosh, it's just not what I want to do though. So you're right. If you don't have a little bit of drive to get in that direction, then there's no gas in the car. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to kind of be like a little bit of a deal junkie in that sense too. I think the people I attract tend to be kind of geeky like me, very systems oriented, and they've got an engineering job, or they're doctors or lawyers. They're what I call high paid plumbers, right?
How about like real estate people though? Wouldn't real estate people be interested in this?
They are very interested in it, but they again don't find it very sexy, right? So
yeah. Well, that's the thing that holds me back. Sorry, you were telling me a story about a plumber.
Yeah, no, I mean, so so my people have what I call solo economic dependency. That means if they're not working, they're not making any money, and they love the systems, they love the automation, they love the side hustle aspect of it because you don't have to do it full time, and then they love the fact that you can do it from anywhere in the world. So, like one of my clients literally has more income now on a passive basis than they were making at their full-time job. So they both quit their job. They moved to Europe and they're traveling around Europe with their laptop doing deals and, using a few geeky tools like a virtual mailbox, giving somebody locally limited power of attorney to deed over properties, and a program called simplifile.com, which will record your deeds online. They can literally do this from anywhere in the world. And it's literally amazing. So for me, like, that's really what I really find the most fulfilling, is the fact that, client after client is telling me, hey, because of you, Mark, I retired my wife. Because of you, Mark, I was able to quit my job. Because of you, Mark, life is so much better. I'm making an extra $4,500 a month now, and, I'm paying for the kids' education. And so I can literally tell you, I can die in peace knowing that I've made a difference in people's lives. Not that, buying and selling raw land, people weren't happy with it. It's just that it really only benefited, it benefited that customer and then the 5 people in my family, where this is, benefiting their children and their spouses and their families and their friends. And it's, it's all about, having that relationship. And one of the 3 things that spouses fight about the most, it's money, sex, and the kids, right? So if you can eliminate the money stress.
Yeah, 30,
right?
Right.
I mean,
hey, you're a third of the way there,
it
brother.
Your relationship so much more. It's like this, you get oceans of energy to work on the other 2 things.
Yeah, it's a very interesting concept, and I'm assuming that there's a system that you have. So how does it work? If somebody was interested in our community to get a hold of more information about how to at least investigate what you're all about,
I think
how can
the
they do
best
that?
place to go is just the website. Go to thelandgeek.com, and then just check it out.
Just check it out
and see if it's for you.
Check it out.
Hopefully we're not too infomercially for you. I don't think we are.
No, I don't think you are either, which is what originally attracted me to your podcast to begin with. I can't remember if you reached out to me or if I just stumbled onto your podcast, but I was listening to it and I'm like, okay, they're talking about real estate, which I'm not really into. I don't like the idea of real estate, but it was entertaining. And then I could see that legitimately there was some great information, not just about how to. I mean, the subject matter that you cover on your podcast is great. It's not just about real estate. It's about relationships and marketing and branding yourself and reputation. It's about shit that everybody should know if they need to get in business. So go over definitely and check out the Art of Passive Income podcast. Very cool podcast. Mark Podolsky is the guy that runs it. We'll make sure that we put a link in the show notes so that you have that. How about that for a pitch? I pitched you. Is that okay?
Doug, that was so nice.
Well, we should really live up to our title of our podcast, I guess. Hey, Mark, let me ask you a question. I want you to take off your hat as a land geek for a second and talk to me as an entrepreneur, somebody that owns their own business, and I know you know the shit. So just help me for a second. I want to talk about some cool tools that you might use on a regular basis to kind of help you through your business venture every day. Is there any piece of technology that you use on a routine basis that you just feel like you couldn't live without?
Doug, thank you for asking me this question.
I
mean, okay, should we start now? How much time do we have?
Yeah, well, you are a geek. So
I had discovered this thing. First of all, it's free. And it is literally, if you took a spreadsheet and a database, you combined them and you made it so easy that even I can use it. They call it airtable.com. I'm telling you, I'm using this thing it's running in my entire business. And so if you take Airtable, go to airtable.com. It's hard to describe, but it's basically like if Excel and what's the other date?
And Salesforce?
Salesforce had a baby, right? And just you can completely automate it. And so if you take airtable.com, you combine it with Zapier.com. Oh my gosh, the sky's the limit. It's running my business.
That's very cool, and it's a free service. What's where are they making their bucks, or doesn't matter?
They're doing the freemium model, so they'll get you eventually.
So you're on what, the $300 a month level now?
No, I just started this. I mean, I started this. Like now, I was using Smartsheet.com, which was great, but now I'm exporting everything out of Smartsheet. I'm using Airtable. I've got my CRM in there. So I got rid of my CRM. I mean, it literally is saving me like $170 a month and other
great.
SaaS products. So I love Airtable. And then Zapier. Oh my gosh. What you can automate in there is crazy.
Well, Zapier, whatever you call it, is also working through Google Docs too. So you can combine a whole bunch of different things using Zapier. Is that the same program?
Okay, so
you think?
you got to get Airtable, got to get Zapier, and then if you're not like super techie and geeky, and you don't want to delve into it, right? Go to Fiverr.com and find somebody to set all this crap up for you, and tell them exactly what you want, right? And do that. So. Oh my gosh, it's the best time to be alive.
Oh, it
really and they've got a great app. It's great.
You're excited about life.
I can just tell about it. Okay, so
how many kids? How many kids do you have?
Three.
How old are they?
So my baby is 12. Then I've got a 14 and 16.
And do they not think that Daddy works for a living?
Well,
they don't, do they?
It's so funny. They are a little spoiled. We've got an issue, but we're working on it. We went to St. Vincent de Paul last week and we served the very, very needy people and their families. And it was really cool because they treated it like a restaurant. So my kids were like waiters and they were serving them. And so they made them feel like they were at a restaurant and serving them the food. And, we got to volunteer a lot, Doug. It's a battle because like where I live, it's like Teslas are like Toyotas. It's nuts.
Teslas are like Toyotas. I live in Montgomery County, Maryland. It was just probably I'm the poor man that lives in the wealthiest county in the country, I think. And it is just crazy to see the level of wealth that we talk about. Yoga pants, Lululemon, and Ferraris and Maseratis that routinely drive down the street. There's a guy that has a Lamborghini. I forget what the yellow one. There's a model that's very yellow, and they have one in my neighborhood, and I'm just like, holy shit! It's crazy. It really is crazy.
Like how do you like how many kids do you have?
I have two kids, 21 and 25.
How do they deal with that? Like, it's not the real world.
No, it totally isn't the real world. Well, fortunately for us, we're the poor house in the neighborhood. So for us, they're used to growing up around all of that without actually having any of that. So, but that's okay. That's okay. Their old man grew up as a DJ. So I'm the jester for all of the wealth that is in the neighborhood. I'm the guy that they pay in order to come in and do their parties. So I have fun doing that. And I'm not complaining.
You're so humble, Doug.
Got to be humble and nice at the same time. Okay. And final question for you, Mark. If you, pretend you got an invitation in the mail to a fabulous party that you've been invited to. I know that you probably get invited to many, many parties with all of your wealthy passive income friends also. But you get invited to this party. At the bottom left-hand corner of the invitation is a dress code that is required. What would be that dress code that you would say, oh, I'm going to enjoy going to that party?
I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. Like even like the nice restaurants, you can wear shorts and like a Tommy Bahama shirt. So and flip flops. So flip flops have to be required.
That's good.
Absolutely,
that's good.
like a comfortable t-shirt and shorts. I like a very casual party for sure.
Casual attire.
I'm not
requested,
a black
then. We'll
tie
put that.
kind of guy at all.
No, totally get it. And one final time, Mark, if people wanted to get in touch with you again, how would they get in touch with your company?
Landgeek.com. TheLandGeek.com. And if they, how about this? If they email me at mark@thelandgeek.com and put in the title or the subject line, Nice Guys Podcast, I'll send them for free the $97 passive income launch kit. And that'll get them on their way.
There you go. Nice Guy community. Don't miss out on that. So make sure you send to mark@thelandgeek.com. We'll put that in the show notes as well. And Mark will send you that $97 value just for being a part of our community. How cool is that?
Of course,
Thanks,
that's
Mark.
nice, right?
Totally nice. Nice guy community. Never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to Mark Podolski for being on the show today. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, and in accordance with my court-mandated community service, I'm Steve O'Brien. Only 27 more voiceovers to go, and then maybe they'll let me leave the state and take this ankle bracelet off.